This is the entire history of dogs to understand yours better. And I'm telling you, once you see how your dog went from ancient wolf to the furry companion sleeping on your couch right now, so many of their quirky behaviors are going to make perfect sense. We're talking about a journey that spans over 30,000 years, and every single thing your dog does today has roots in this incredible evolutionary story. By the end of this video, you're going to look at your dog completely differently because you'll understand exactly why they do what they do. This is going to be fascinating, so let's dive into the entire history of dogs. It all started with wolves around 40,000 years ago, and the relationship began with garbage, not friendship. This is where the story gets really interesting because dogs didn't start out as man's best friend. The earliest connection between humans and wolves happened because wolves were scavengers who realized that human settlements were basically buffets of leftover food and waste. Picture this. Early humans are living in small groups, hunting and gathering, and they're leaving behind animal bones, scraps, and waste around their campsites. Wolves, being the opportunistic survivors they are, started hanging around the edges of these settlements to take advantage of this easy food source. Now here's the crucial part. Not all wolves could do this successfully. The wolves who were too aggressive or too fearful couldn't get close enough to benefit from human leftovers. But there were some wolves who had just the right temperament, not too scared of humans, but not aggressive either. And these wolves thrived. This is what scientists call self-domestication, and it's absolutely fascinating. Humans didn't set out to domesticate wolves. Instead, wolves essentially domesticated themselves by adapting to live alongside humans. The wolves who could tolerate human presence got more food, which meant they were healthier and had more surviving puppies. Over many generations, this created a population of wolves who were increasingly comfortable around humans. Your modern dog still has this scavenging instinct hardwired into them. When your dog gets into the trash, countersurfs for food, or picks up random stuff on walks, they're tapping into this ancient behavior that literally created the human-dog relationship. Those early wolves who were best at scavenging from humans became the ancestors of every dog alive today. Between 20,000 and 15,000 years ago, something incredible happened. Wolves started becoming dogs through physical and behavioral changes. This is where we start seeing the actual transition from wolf to dog, and the changes are really dramatic. Scientists can track this transformation through archaeological evidence, and what they've found is mind-blowing. The first physical changes were things like shorter snouts, smaller teeth, and floppy ears. Now, you might think humans bred for these traits because they're cute, but actually, these changes happened naturally as a side effect of selecting for tameness. There's something called domestication syndrome, where when you breed animals for friendly, non-aggressive behavior, you automatically get physical changes too. This happens because the genes that control behavior are linked to the genes that control physical development. Here's what's really cool. As these proto-dogs became tamer, their stress hormones decreased, which affected how their bodies developed. Lower stress hormones during development led to features we associate with puppies being retained into adulthood: smaller faces, rounder heads, and those adorable floppy ears. Scientists call this neoteny, which is basically keeping juvenile features into adulthood. Your dog's floppy ears, their playful behavior even as adults, their tendency to talk to you with whines and barks, all of this comes from this domestication process that's selected for animals who stayed puppy-like throughout their lives. Wolves are much more serious and independent as adults, but dogs retained that puppy energy and desire for social interaction that makes them such great companions. But here's something that'll blow your mind. Early dogs still looked pretty wolf-like compared to modern dogs. We're talking about animals that were probably 50 to 60 pounds, had pointed ears, though maybe not as stiffly upright as wolves, and still had that wild appearance. The huge diversity of dog breeds we see today wouldn't come until much, much later. Around 15,000 years ago, humans and dogs formed actual working partnerships, which changed both species forever. This is such a crucial moment in the story because this is when the relationship shifted from wolves hanging around humans to dogs and humans actively cooperating. And this cooperation literally changed human history. The first job dogs had was probably helping with hunting. Early dogs had incredible advantages for humans. They could track prey by scent way better than humans could. They could run faster and longer. They could alert humans to the presence of animals, and they could help corner or exhaust prey. In return, humans shared the food from successful hunts. This was a true partnership where both species benefited enormously. But dogs did more than just help hunt. They were also early warning systems for danger. While humans slept, dogs would alert them to approaching predators or hostile humans. They helped guard food stores from other scavengers. Some researchers even think that having dogs allowed humans to sleep more deeply and soundly, which improved human health and cognitive function because they knew the dogs would alert them to danger. This is why your dog barks at every little sound or movement outside your house. They're doing exactly what their ancestors did 15,000 years ago, alerting you to potential threats or interesting activity. Even though you don't need this protection anymore, your dog's brain is still wired to be your guardian and early warning system. When they bark at the mail carrier or alert you to someone at the door, they're fulfilling this ancient role that's been bred into them for thousands of generations. Here's something fascinating. Research suggests that humans who partnered with dogs had significant survival advantages over humans who didn't. Dogs helped humans hunt more successfully, protected them better, and possibly even helped keep them warm in cold climates. Some scientists think that the human-dog partnership was so beneficial that it actually contributed to early humans outcompeting Neanderthals. Between 10,000 and 5,000 years ago, as humans developed agriculture, dogs took on new roles that led to early breed diversification. This is where the story gets really interesting, because this is when we start seeing dogs becoming specialized for different jobs. Once humans settled down and started farming instead of nomadic hunting, they needed different things from their dogs. Some dogs became livestock guardians, protecting sheep and cattle from predators. These dogs needed to be large, protective, and somewhat independent because they'd work away from humans, living with the livestock. Your modern Great Pyrenees, Anatolian Shepherds, and similar breeds are direct descendants of these early livestock guardians. If you have one of these breeds, you'll notice they're independent thinkers who like to patrol and check on their territory. That's this ancient guardian instinct at work. Other dogs became herding dogs, helping move livestock from place to place. These dogs needed completely different traits. They had to be highly trainable, responsive to human commands, and have controlled prey drive where they'd chase animals but not hurt them. Your border collies, Australian Shepherds, and Corgis come from this lineage. If you have a herding breed, you've probably noticed they try to herd family members, other pets, or even kids. They're using instincts that were refined over thousands of years. Then there were dogs who specialized in hunting different types of prey. Some became scent hounds who tracked prey over long distances. These became your bloodhounds and beagles. Others became sight hounds who chased fast prey using vision and speed. These became your greyhounds and whippets. And some became terriers who hunted small prey in burrows. These became your Jack Russell Terriers and Scottish Terriers. Here's a mini hook for you. Pay attention to this because it explains so much about your dog's behavior. Whatever job your dog's ancestors were bred for, those instincts are still incredibly strong in your dog today, even if they've never done that job in their life. A beagle who's never hunted will still put their nose to the ground and follow scents obsessively. A border collie who's never seen a sheep will still have an intense stare and try to control the movement of things around them. A terrier who's never seen a rat will still dig frantically and get excited by small, fast-moving creatures. Around 5,000 years ago, we see evidence of dogs being bred for companionship and specific appearances, not just function. This is a huge shift in the human-dog relationship because this is when dogs started becoming pets and status symbols in addition to working animals. Archaeological evidence from ancient Egypt, China, and other early civilizations shows that wealthy and powerful people kept small dogs purely for companionship. In ancient Egypt, we see artwork depicting dogs that look remarkably like modern Basenjis and greyhounds. These weren't working dogs for common people. They were prized possessions of royalty and nobles. Dogs were so valued in ancient Egypt that they were sometimes mummified and buried with their owners. In ancient China, there's evidence of dogs being bred specifically to be small lap dogs for the imperial court. This is where breeds like Pekingese and Shih Tzus originated. Dogs bred to be companions for emperors and their families. These dogs were literally bred to be small enough to fit in the sleeves of robes, which is where the term sleeve dogs comes from. This is when we start seeing humans really controlling dog breeding for specific traits. Instead of dogs naturally adapting to their environment and jobs, humans started making deliberate choices about which dogs to breed together based on appearance, size, and temperament. This accelerated the diversification of dogs enormously. If you have a small companion breed, understanding this history helps explain why they're so people-focused and sometimes seem needy compared to working breeds. These dogs weren't bred to be independent or to have a job. They were bred specifically to bond closely with humans and want to be near them constantly. That's not a flaw in their personality. It's exactly what they were designed for. The Roman Empire spread specific dog breeds across Europe and refined breeding practices between 2000 and 1500 years ago. The Romans were absolutely obsessed with dogs, and they had different breeds for different purposes that they brought with them as they conquered Europe. This is really important because this is when many of the foundation breeds for modern European dogs were established. Romans had massive Molossian dogs, which were ancestors of modern Mastiffs and similar large breeds. These dogs were used in war, for guarding, and even in gladiatorial combat. They also had sophisticated hunting dogs, herding dogs, and small companion dogs. The Romans wrote extensively about dogs and even had veterinary medicine specifically for dogs, which was incredibly advanced for the time. As the Roman Empire expanded, they brought their dogs to different regions, where these dogs mixed with local dogs and adapted to local conditions. This created regional varieties that would eventually become distinct breeds. The foundations of many modern European breeds, like the various shepherd dogs, mastiffs, and hounds, were laid during this period. Here's something interesting. The Romans understood that breeding dogs from the same family line could strengthen certain traits. They kept records of dog lineages, especially for their prized hunting and war dogs. This was an early form of what we now call purebred breeding, though it wasn't nearly as strict or scientific as modern breed standards. The Middle Ages, 500 to 1500 AD, saw dogs becoming highly specialized and the beginning of breed restrictions based on social class. This period is fascinating because this is when different classes of people were actually forbidden from owning certain types of dogs. In medieval Europe, large hunting dogs were reserved for nobility, and commoners could be severely punished for owning them. This created an interesting situation where common people bred smaller dogs for practical purposes like ratting, guarding, and companionship, while nobility focused on large hunting dogs and war dogs. This class-based division actually accelerated breed diversity because you had completely separate breeding populations developing in parallel. The medieval period also saw the development of very specialized hunting breeds. Nobility was obsessed with hunting as both sport and food source, and they bred dogs for incredibly specific tasks. Dogs that hunted by sight versus scent, dogs that pointed at birds versus retrieved them, dogs that hunted in packs versus alone. Every specific hunting scenario had an ideal dog type being developed for it. If your dog is a sporting breed, retrievers, pointers, setters, spaniels, this is the era when their ancestors were really refined. The behaviors these dogs show, like pointing at birds, freezing and staring intently at prey, setting, crouching when they scent game, or having soft mouths, carrying things gently, are all traits that were carefully selected for during medieval times. The 1800s brought the Victorian era's obsession with dog breeding, creating most modern breeds we recognize today. This is the most important period for understanding modern dogs because this is when the concept of purebred dogs really took off. The Victorians were absolutely obsessed with categorizing, standardizing, and perfecting everything, including dogs. The first official dog show was held in England in 1859, and this changed everything. Suddenly, dogs were being judged not just on their working ability, but on how closely they matched an ideal standard of appearance. This led to the creation of breed clubs, written breed standards, and closed stud books, meaning only dogs of the same breed could be bred together. This is when the huge diversity of breeds we see today was created. Breeds that had existed in loose regional forms were standardized into specific types. New breeds were created by crossing existing breeds and then breeding them true. The Victorian era probably created more distinct dog breeds than any other period in history. We're talking about hundreds of breeds being formalized in just a few decades. But here's where things get complicated, and this is super important for understanding your modern dog. The Victorian breeding focused heavily on appearance, sometimes at the expense of health and function. Dogs started being bred to look a certain way rather than to do a certain job. Some breeds were exaggerated. Bulldogs became shorter-faced, Dachshunds became longer, German Shepherds developed that sloped back. If you have a purebred dog, especially one from a popular breed, understanding this Victorian breeding history helps explain both their wonderful traits and any health issues they might face. Many breed-specific health problems come from this period when appearance became more important than function, and certain traits were exaggerated beyond what was practical or healthy. The 1900s saw dogs transition from working animals to primarily companion animals in most of the developed world. This is a massive shift that happened remarkably quickly. At the beginning of the 1900s, most dogs still had jobs: farm dogs, herding dogs, hunting dogs, guard dogs. By the end of the century, the vast majority of dogs in developed countries were primarily pets. This transition created what some scientists call a mismatch between what dogs are bred to do and what we actually ask them to do. A border collie bred to herd sheep all day is now expected to be content with a couple of walks and hanging out in an apartment. A Jack Russell Terrier bred to hunt rats is now expected to be a couch companion. A husky bred to pull sleds for miles is now expected to be satisfied with suburban life. This explains so much about modern dog behavior problems. When dogs are destructive, hyperactive, or develop anxiety, it's often because they're bred for intense physical and mental work, but not getting outlets for those instincts. Your dog isn't being bad. They're being exactly what they were bred to be, but in an environment that doesn't allow them to express those natural behaviors appropriately. The late 1900s and early 2000s brought the designer dog trend and renewed focus on health and temperament. Here's where we get into modern times and some really interesting developments. In the late 1900s, people started deliberately crossing purebred dogs to create designer breeds: Labradoodles, Golden Doodles, Cockapoos, and dozens of others. The original idea behind these crosses was actually health-focused. Breeders noticed that purebred dogs often had health problems due to limited genetic diversity, while mixed breeds tended to be healthier. By deliberately crossing two different breeds, they hoped to get hybrid vigor, the health benefits of genetic diversity, while still having some predictability about size and temperament. This trend was controversial, and still is, because it challenged the idea that purebred dogs are superior. But it also started important conversations about dog health and whether breeding for appearance had gone too far. Some breed clubs started prioritizing health testing and genetic diversity over just appearance. Your modern dog, whether purebred, mixed breed, or designer, is the product of all this history. The fascinating thing is that even though dogs look incredibly different from wolves and from each other, they still carry those ancient instincts and behaviors from their wolf ancestors. Now let's talk about what all this history means for understanding your specific dog's behavior. This is where everything comes together. Your dog is carrying genetic instructions from wolves, plus specific modifications that happened during thousands of years of domestication, plus breed-specific traits that were selected for particular jobs. Understanding this explains almost everything your dog does. Let's start with social behavior. Wolves are pack animals with complex social structures, and dogs inherited this. This is why your dog sees your family as their pack and why they're so motivated by social bonds. When your dog follows you from room to room, they're not being clingy. They're being a good pack member who stays with the group. When they get anxious being left alone, it's because their wolf ancestors never would have been isolated from the pack, so being alone triggers stress responses. But here's what's different from wolves. Dogs have been selected for thousands of years to bond with humans specifically, not just other dogs. Wolves raised by humans still prefer other wolves, but dogs have been bred to see humans as their primary social group. This is why your dog looks to you for guidance, why they're motivated by your praise, and why they genuinely seem to love you. They're wired to see you as family in a way wolves never would be. Now let's talk about communication. Dogs do all of this, but they've also evolved to communicate specifically with humans. Dogs are the only animals who naturally follow human pointing, who look at human faces to read emotions, and who alter their vocalizations to get human attention. That's why your dog barks. Wolves rarely bark, but dogs have been selected for thousands of years to use barking to communicate with humans. When your dog makes different sounds for different needs, they're using a communication system that evolved specifically for talking to us. When your dog looks at your face when they're confused or uncertain, they're using skills that wolves don't have, the ability to read human facial expressions and seek information from human faces. Here's something really important about play. Adult wolves play much less than wolf puppies do. Play is mostly for young animals to practice hunting and social skills. But dogs. Adult dogs maintain puppyish playfulness their whole lives because we selected for that trait during domestication. When your dog brings you toys, initiates play, and seems to enjoy games that have no practical purpose, they're showing that neo-teeny we talked about earlier, retaining juvenile behaviors into adulthood. Let's talk about resource guarding for a minute, because this confuses a lot of dog owners. When dogs guard food, toys, or spaces, people often think this is dominance or aggression, but actually, this is a perfectly normal behavior inherited from wolves who had to protect their food from other pack members and from scavengers. In wolf packs, higher-ranking animals get first access to food, and protecting resources is natural. The difference is that selective breeding has made some dogs more prone to resource guarding than others. Breeds that were developed to work independently and make their own decisions, like livestock guardians or terriers, often have stronger resource guarding instincts than breeds developed to work closely with humans and share resources, like retrievers. Understanding your dog's breed history helps you know if resource guarding is something you'll need to specifically work on. Here's another fascinating thing: prey drive and how it shows up differently in different dogs. All dogs inherited predatory instincts from wolves, but thousands of years of breeding have modified these instincts in breed-specific ways. The predatory sequence is search, stalk, chase, grab, bite, kill, dissect, consume. Different breeds have had different parts of this sequence either amplified or suppressed. Herding dogs have amped up stalk and chase but suppressed bite and kill. That's why they can chase livestock all day without hurting them. Retrievers have amplified search and chase but suppressed bite. That's why they can pick up birds with a soft mouth without damaging them. Terriers have the full sequence intact because they needed to hunt and kill small prey. This explains why a Labrador might chase squirrels but not catch them, while a Jack Russell Terrier will chase and catch and shake the squirrel. It's not that one is a better hunter. They've been bred for completely different versions of the hunting sequence. Understanding where your dog's breed falls in this spectrum helps you manage their behavior appropriately. Let's talk about why understanding this history makes you a better dog owner. When you understand that your dog's behaviors come from thousands of years of evolution and selective breeding, it completely changes how you relate to them. Instead of thinking, my dog is being bad, you can think, my dog is being exactly what they were bred to be, and I need to give them appropriate outlets for these instincts. If you have a scent hound who constantly has their nose to the ground, instead of getting frustrated, you can give them scent work activities that let them use these incredible abilities. If you have a herding dog who tries to herd your kids, instead of punishing them, you can give them herding-type games or activities that satisfy this instinct. If you have a terrier who digs up your yard, you can create a designated digging area or give them digging games. Understanding your dog's history also helps you appreciate their quirks as features, not bugs. When your dog circles before lying down, they're performing a behavior wolves use to mat down grass and make a comfortable sleeping spot. When your dog kicks backward after pooping, they're not trying to cover it. That's a cat thing. They're actually doing a territorial behavior where they're spreading scent from glands in their paws to mark territory, just like wolves do. When your dog brings you toys and drops them at your feet, they might be trying to engage you in play, but they're also showing you a behavior related to how wolves bring food back to the pack. When your dog rolls in stinky stuff, gross, I know, they're doing what wolves do to mask their scent when hunting. Disguising their smell helps them get closer to prey. All of these behaviors that seem random or annoying make perfect sense when you understand where they come from. Your dog isn't trying to be difficult. They're carrying out instructions from thousands of years of evolutionary history that's hardwired into their DNA. Understanding dog history also helps you understand breed differences and choose the right dog for your lifestyle. If you're thinking about getting a dog, knowing breed history is crucial. Don't choose a dog just because they're cute or you like how they look. Choose based on what they were bred to do and whether that matches your lifestyle. If you're an active person who wants a running or hiking companion, breeds developed for endurance work, like Huskies, Malamutes, or herding breeds, might be perfect. If you want a calm companion for apartment living, breeds developed as companion animals, like Cavalier King Charles Spaniels or French Bulldogs, make more sense than working breeds. If you already have a dog, understanding their breed history helps you understand why they do what they do and how to make them happier. A border collie needs mental stimulation and tasks to do. A beagle needs opportunities to use their nose. A greyhound needs chances to run. A terrier needs digging and chasing outlets. A livestock guardian needs space and things to protect. The future of dogs is being shaped right now by modern science and changing human needs. We're living through another important chapter in dog history. Modern genetics allows us to understand dog health and behavior in ways the Victorians could never have imagined. We can now identify genetic diseases before breeding, select for health and temperament scientifically, and even understand exactly how dogs and wolves differ at the DNA level. There's also growing awareness that some breeding practices of the past created health problems that we need to fix. Many breed clubs are now prioritizing health over extreme appearances. There's movement toward breeding for function and health rather than just looks. Some breeds are being restored to healthier body types that existed before Victorian exaggerations. At the same time, the role of dogs in human society continues to evolve. Dogs are doing new jobs like detecting medical conditions, providing emotional support, working in search and rescue, and helping with therapy. These new roles might eventually create new specialized breeding lines, just like jobs in the past created breed diversity. Drop a comment and tell me what breed or mix you have, and share one quirky behavior they do that makes so much more sense now that you understand their history. I love hearing how this knowledge changes people's understanding of their dogs. So there you have it. The entire history of dogs, from wolves to the companion sleeping on your couch. From self-domesticating wolves hanging around human campsites 40,000 years ago, to working partnerships that changed human civilization, to the Victorian breeding explosion that created modern breeds, to today's companion animals who still carry all these ancient instincts. What an incredible journey! Every time your dog does something that seems weird or annoying, remember that they're carrying out behaviors that were shaped over thousands of years. They're not being bad, they're being a dog, with all the complex history and genetics that entails. The more you understand where your dog came from, the better you can appreciate who they are and give them the life they need to be happy and fulfilled. Your dog is a living link to an ancient past, carrying behaviors and instincts from wolves, from early dogs who partnered with humans, and from specific breeds developed for specific jobs. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. Understanding this history doesn't just make you a better dog owner. It helps you see your dog as the incredible result of the longest and most successful partnership between two species in all of history. If you enjoyed learning about the entire history of dogs, you'll definitely enjoy this one as well, so go watch it right now.